How to achieve social harmony. Step 1. Conquer a region of Central Asia. Step 2. Leave the region after deciding it's not worth it. Step 3. Reconquer the region and call it Xinjiang. Step 4. Assimilate the native population by encouraging them to speak your language, with little success. Step 5. Become a republic. Step 6. Rule Xinjiang as your own personal fiefdom, but don't interfere in the lives of the locals. Step 7. Get assassinated at a banquet. Step 8. Be more greedy and authoritarian than your predecessor and piss off the locals, while they form their own national identity. Step 9. Act surprised when your policies cause the local population to rebel against you. Step 10. Get overthrown by the guy who you called in to help you defeat the rebels. Step 11. Make a deal with the rebels to give them an independent state. Step 12. Crush this state by indirectly sending Chinese Muslims to sack its capital, after they failed to sack yours. Step 13. Rule Xinjiang on behalf of a nationalist government, but in reality have a hard-on for your communist neighbor. Step 14. Implement Soviet-style policies in Xinjiang, increase the rights of indigenous people, but also set up a secret police to carry out mass purges and suppress rebellions. Step 15. Carry out a purge against communists to prove you are not a Soviet puppet. Step 16. Get booted because you have no allies left. Step 17. Make a deal with your neighbor to give the Uyghurs an independent state. Step 18. Become communist. Step 19. Work with your communist buddy to destroy this state, while its leaders conveniently die in a plane crash. Step 20. Continue Soviet-style policies to accommodate the locals, until you fall out with your neighbor. Disrupt the lives of the locals with collectivized farms and settler colonialism, causing many to flee the country. Step 21. Do a cultural revolution. Shut down mosques. Burn religious books. Force people to dress like you. Send academics to labor camps for re-education. Restrict the use of the native population's language, but also shut down schools, creating a generation of uneducated people. Step 22. Under new management, undo the previous step and expand religious freedom with economic and political reforms. Step 23. Put an end to these reforms by purging liberals from the party, and doing something that never actually happened. Step 24. Violently suppress a nationalist uprising. Step 25. Watch your communist neighbor dissolve into independent states, and worry that the same will happen to you. Step 26. Introduce a new security agenda for the region. Increase settler colonialism. Pressure your neighbors to silence dissent from abroad. Crack down on religious and cultural expressions. Step 27. Respond to protests against your agenda with violence. Step 28. Act surprised when you experience violent attacks in the region. Step 29. Work with actual extremists to monitor the people you claim are extremists. Step 30. Take advantage of current events by updating your rhetoric. Claim that a disorganized community based in Afghanistan has links to global jihadists, despite this claim having no basis in reality. Step 31. Make a deal with your imperialist rival to designate this community as terrorists, then use this designation to justify crackdowns and arbitrary detention. Step 32. Remove the Uyghurs' language from educational institutions. Step 33. Send minority students to boarding schools in the inner regions of China, and force them to only speak Chinese, making them feel unwelcome in both communities. Step 34. Encourage minority women to work in the inner regions of China, and brand those who don't as extremists. Step 35. Rapidly develop the region's infrastructure, without ensuring the native population receives any economic benefits. Step 36. Detain and expel minorities from your capital, and ban them from booking hotel rooms to attend your big sports event. Step 37. Respond to protests against your discriminatory policies with violence, causing them to escalate into race riots. Step 38. Put the native population under surveillance, and forcibly disappear anyone with a connection to the riots. Step 39. Watch as the phantom organization you blame for your problems spawns a better equipped and more capable offshoot in Syria, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that you use to justify further crackdowns and surveillance. Step 40. Trigger an exodus of the Uyghurs from their homeland, leaving them vulnerable to trafficking and radicalization. Step 41. Act surprised when you experience lone wolf attacks inside and outside of Xinjiang. Step 42. Carry out a people's war on terror, ban long beards and religious clothing, encourage Uyghurs to spy on each other, ban Arabic names for babies, construct walls around neighborhoods to separate Uyghurs from the Chinese. Step 43. Imprison Uyghurs who are loyal to you. Step 44. Put a guy with experience in brutalizing minorities in charge of Xinjiang. Step 45. Build the most high-tech surveillance system in human history, collect personal biometric and medical data through spyware QR codes and security checkpoints, then use machine learning algorithms to determine who might be a criminal. Step 46. Commit cultural genocide against the native population. Send men to re-education camps where they are forced to eat pork, drink alcohol and sing communist songs. Send government agents to sleep with their wives or marry them off to Chinese men. Send their children to boarding schools to be raised as Chinese communists. Step 47. Destroy cemeteries, mosques and shrines which are hundreds of years old. Step 48. Use camp detainees for slave labor in the global supply chain. Step 49. Forcibly sterilize minority women to drive down their birth rates. Step 50. Experience an economic slowdown amid falling birth rates.